Looking through the lens, opinions of three friends. Looking through the lens, sometimes they don't make sense. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Through the Lens. Today we're reviewing a special movie, which is Mank 2020. Alright, but this is going to be a special review where we will be also semi-reviewing Citizen Kane from 1940, what was it? 41? 42.
Yeah,
Anyway,
41.
since Mank is about the making of Citizen Kane, we felt it was appropriate to do a double review, but mainly we'll focus more on Mank, but there will be some spoilers for Citizen Kane if you haven't watched it. Alright.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Today we have yours truly, the Z to the E to the F to the R to the O to the S on our right.
It's him.
Yeah.
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 Yes.
Okay.
On my
S.
left, we have Patronus Gold.
G'day, guys. You're
And-
ready?
Very
for-
underwhelming entrance to compare to his own.
Of course.
Well, okay. Here's a good entrance. How about Patronus Gold, the Citizen Kane of movie reviewers?
Nah, mate.
No.
No?
Alright.
I'll be ready.
On my furthest left is the one and only Sandude.
Not me.
Not
Let's move
him.
on, eh?
Alright. So first of all, before getting on to the Mank review, we're gonna do a brief sort of review of Citizen Kane to have some background and background for Mank.
Spoiler section.
This is all spoilers, but the movie's 60-ish years old, so watch it.
Spoiler zone. Watch out, guys.
Alright, Citizen Kane opened in theaters in 1941, was a movie about the post-death of publishing tycoon Charles Foster Kane, and a reporter scrambled to uncover the meaning of his final words, Rosebud. Citizen Kane was directed by Orson Welles. It was written by the one and only Herman J. Mankiewicz, and also
And also
Orson Welles as co-credit because it was in the contract.
DT.
It was in the contract.
Dun, dun, dun. Yes.
It stars Orson Welles, Joseph Cotton, Dorothy Comingore, and a bunch more people from the 40s. What y'all think about this movie?
Yeah. I thought this was okay, I don't think it really lived up to the hype set by society as the greatest movie of all time.
Oh, yes,
But I
forgot to
think it
mention
was
that.
very much ahead of its time in the 1940s.
I shall
Very
agree with
impressive.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
This movie is very critically acclaimed by movie fans all over the world and across time. I'd say it aged quite well, but as the boys said before, it did not meet the hype. But I guess it is quite a groundbreaking movie for its time.
Yeah.
Papaya.
In terms of
Continue.
like Mr. Mank's narrative, it's very much you can see the way it's shaped like some modern movie narratives in the way that it's not linear. It uses flashbacks, flash forwards, it uses multiple perspectives of different characters, and by the end with the whole Rosebud thing, it comes around in like a full circle thing. And I thought that way of telling this story added even more interest to the plotline.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I will say my first impressions of this movie, because I've only heard about Citizen Kane until I watched it, basically.
Yeah.
I would say it was a good movie, especially good considering its time, with lots of good visual effects and all that. And what really sells it to me is mainly like nothing really to do with how the writing is done, because Lord knows I can't review that. But everything else, like the visual set pieces, music, that was all done very well, I think.
Yeah, I agree. Adding on to the visuals, it's shot very, very, very well. It has really creative stuff. Like, I remember even in like the first act of the first scene of the movie, they do cool stuff with like reflections and like that shattered snow globe thing, and yeah, lots of cool camera angles and nice transitions, as well as um, cool fades, as well as they since it was 1914s, they only had black and white, but they used it very creatively with their use of shadows, showing like powerful people completely obscured by darkness to represent the darkness of power. You know?
Mm.
Yeah.
Speaking of
All
people,
very true.
I'd say all the actors fit their roles pretty well. And they were,
Interesting fact. Everyone in the film this was their like debut.
oh yeah, that's right. Because they're a
Oh,
new studio, right? New movie studio at the time.
I didn't.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
I
was
think.
like a
Okay.
radio conglomerate, and they made a movie studio. That's
Yeah.
why Mr. Mank was like hired, because he was fired by MGM, bro.
Yeah.
Fun historical factos.
Yeah.
All
yeah.
right, we've talked about cinematography a bit. We've talked about uh, visuals a bit. Let's talk
Yeah.
about more about the writing.
I like the themes and stuff about power, greed, and like forgetting your own values, but while getting swept up in that lifestyle. And I think they portrayed it very well in this film,
Mm.
because you feel kind of bad for Kane. Well, like you feel bad for like the people around him as well. And it's like they do good stuff with that.
I think it's more about control, man. Like Kane
Yeah.
tries to control everything in his life, but that doesn't always work out. You know, at the end,
Yeah.
Mm.
especially
And I
controlling
guess
the
it relates
people.
to his childhood where, yeah, because he
Right.
wants everyone's love, right?
Yeah, through his newspaper, uh, what do you call it? Newspaper empire. He voices his opinions and his values, so
Yeah.
all people could hear and follow his values or follow him. But at
Yeah.
the end, people lose interest. He
Yeah.
becomes public enemy, and that
Yeah.
becomes the downfall of Mr. Kane.
Mm.
They also interject some interesting social commentary, which I guess we'll go into more with Mank, right?
Yeah,
About the stuff that was going on during the times. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I also want to talk about how, like, the writing is good in the sense that, how do you say this? Like, obviously, it has like the flashbacks, it's not linear. But in a sense, it's also linear in that you start in one place and you end in one place. It comes full circle at
Full
the end of
circle.
everything.
Yeah.
It was it was very well written in the way that, yes, it came full circle at the end. Like the big thing about Rosebud was revealed to all of us,
Yeah.
and but I know for a fact, me and Jack were watching this together. We were just like, "Oh my god, that clicked in our head."
Yeah.
It was pretty masterful the way it
Yeah.
achieved that.
me too, man. When it was revealed at the end, I was like, oh, the sled.
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
And the symbology of the mother's love,
As in, like, yeah,
of all the
his lost
value.
childhood, basically.
Yeah, man.
Because
The
that
one
was
thing he
taken away
held
from him, man.
on.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that was taken away.
Which I guess is why he wants to like have everything and control everything later in his adult life, because he had things taken away from
This right. Well, love. He lacked love when he
him.
was a
Yeah.
child. Love was
Yeah.
taken away from him.
Do we want to talk about like acting and music? That's the stuff we haven't really talked. I touched on music
But
a
we
little
talked
bit.
about acting.
Well, acting, I was just like,
Okay.
yeah, good.
Good acting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're all good. I think nothing to
Yeah.
really us go home about. But yeah,
You can talk about music. Yeah.
Yeah, music by Bernard Herman. I'm sorry, Bernard.
Herman Mank.
Yeah, Bernard Herman Mankiewicz. But yeah, Bernard Herman, just good music. It fit well. And oh yeah, I think as like a connection between Mank, which we're gonna do later, or do you want to talk about the music later? Because the music that they use is very similar.
We could talk about that in Mank then, I guess.
All right. I think I think we're done with Citizen Kane, huh?
Scores.
Final verdicts. Yeah.
Well, as always, starting on the right.
I'd give it I'd say first that a pretty solid movie. I guess it is an impressive one considering the time it was made, with its masterful writing and beautiful visuals. Really good example of storytelling in a movie. I give it a solid 8 out of 10.
I agree with everything that Dio said. I think very much ahead of its time. Coming from a modern viewer, it still holds up mostly. And yeah, I think this is a solid 9 out of 10.
9 out of 10? I'll hit it right in the middle. 8.5.
And that is a combined average score of 8.5 out of 10.
So yeah, Citizen Kane, that's done.
Okay.
Moving on.
Transition.
So Mank is about 1930s Hollywood, reevaluated through the eyes of scathing social critic and alcoholic screenwriter Herman J. Mankiewicz, as he races to finish the screenplay for Citizen Kane. So Mank was directed by David Fincher. The screenplay was written by Jack Fincher. So are they related? They are related,
Probably.
are they?
Yeah, I guess they're both brothers.
It stars Gary Oldman as Herman Mankiewicz. It also stars Amanda Seyfried as Marion, Lily Collins as Rita, Tom Pelfrey as Joseph Mankiewicz, which is Mank's brother, Alice Howard as Louis B. Mayer, Tuppence Middleton as Sarah Mankiewicz, and many others. Alright. What y'all think about this movie?
Coming from me as a David Fincher fan, I think he did a good job directing. Though, yeah, this is going to be controversial, but I don't feel like this didn't really feel like a super Fincher thing. It was some basically all he does is like crime dramas, and yeah, that's what he does mainly. So this was something a bit different, and unfortunately, to me, it doesn't live up to his other works. Though it is a mostly interesting story, and it is well made and stuff, and the story is mostly interesting. So it's a good movie. It's good.
Well, for me, I don't think I've watched many of David Fincher's stuff, but this one's a solid movie. A bit out of the ordinary though, as it tries to like imitate the style of 1940s movies, and especially the structure of Citizen Kane itself.
Yeah.
It's I don't know if it's filmed in black and white, like actual analog film, or it's just edited to be black and white. But the end product is black and white, and the general story structure is similar to Citizen Kane's, where it relies on flashbacks and more chronological storytelling from one person's perspective, you know.
Yeah.
So flashbacks, and like it goes back and forth from the future to the past.
Yeah.
And I think that was.
I also like.
Right.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, cool throwback to Citizen Kane.
I was going to say that the way they transition into flashbacks very different from Citizen Kane, where it's a fade, and it's almost dreamlike. It's much more like the way they animate it. I think I could talk about how they animate it, right? Because the transition is like you see a typewriter type,
Yeah.
like the location, date, time, etc.
It's
at the
it's like
bottom.
a script.
Yeah, like a script. So
Yeah.
that, and how they did scripts back in the day. How did they do? They do still do scripts like that these days, right?
Yeah, it's the same thing these days. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like into the mind of Mank, but
Yeah.
it's really into the mind of Mank. The way it's structured makes us
Yeah.
very immersive into the mind of Mank.
Yeah.
Very cool.
What
Yeah.
do you think of the actors in these movies?
Oh, brilliant! I think Gary Oldman. He's Gary Oldman. Come on, it's Gary Oldman. We've seen him in the Harry Potter.
That's
Just
Yeah,
it.
that's
Harry
all I can
Potter,
think
just
of right
Harry.
now. But I have seen him in other stuff. I'm pretty sure. And yeah, I think he's a good actor, and he does a really good job being drunk old writer man. Oh, and the supporting cast is good too.
Yeah.
Gary Oldman did play his character quite well.
Yeah.
I'd say he really put out a persona
Yeah.
of this alcoholic writer that's funny man.
Yeah.
I like that.
Not much to write home about with acting anymore, is there?
Yeah.
It was all very good.
Yeah.
Being a story about a movie writer, how do you think about the story?
Actually, can I
And
say
writing
something
in this
about
movie.
acting before we move
All
on?
right.
Because
Sure, mate. Sure.
what do you think about their accents to really fit the 1940s vibe?
Well, they do
Other
speak
actors,
like West Side Hollywood people. If you
Yeah.
compare them to like, you know how in these times like the West Hollywood people and the East New York people, they talk different, right? The New York people, they talk more formal business, but the West Side people
Yeah.
talk like manky. I think they're
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they did a good job.
Well, we're not American, so we can't really judge that for
Well,
ourselves.
nor
but yeah,
are we people from the 1940s.
true.
You sure?
Are we just
Come on,
time
boys.
travelers?
At heart.
Yeah, before I play the X-Files music, let's move on to writing, huh?
Alright. Speaking of, yeah, this movie is about a movie writer. So, what do you think about the writing of this movie? You know,
Yes. I think in terms of like story, uh, it's an interesting character study, I guess. But I think maybe there are several negatives for me. Unfortunately, I think that the pacing is kind of garbage in this movie, which they did try to emulate that like flashback sort of style from Citizen Kane, but I don't think it really worked because this is all from like one perspective, whereas Citizen Kane was from many perspectives. That's what made it like special, and that like made the movie feel better paced. But this one, I think it doesn't work that way, and I also think that it was just too long.
I can agree somewhat to that. Like, I also
Yeah.
feel like a bit of the flashback stuff is kind of like convoluted. Like, I can't. Sometimes I can't keep up like what's happening because like
Yeah,
it's the time skips are like different every time,
yeah,
and that may be confusing. Well, at
Yeah.
least I thought it was a bit confusing.
yeah.
And yeah, this movie was kind of long. How long was
Yeah.
this movie?
It was like a 2 hours.
and 7 minutes, I think.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Well, general writing, I'd say is like character dialogues. Okay, they're pretty fun.
Yeah, I think dialogue was good. Yeah,
And like interactions between characters and the progression of the story, or like plot points, they're pretty cool. They're based on real life events, I guess.
yeah, and I
It really
liked
does.
all of the. You can really see how this film inspired Citizen Kane. I mean, sorry, not this film. Like the story the film is based on, inspired the
Well,
making.
Mank's
of
environment
film.
inspired Citizen Kane.
Yeah, which is pretty cool, and it also makes you. It kind of makes you take a second look at Citizen Kane in a way, like kind of like this Orson Welles guy, kind of a dickhead, you know. You know
Kind
what I
of, but I
mean?
mean,
Yeah,
like,
yeah, it does, kind of.
but like
Kind of.
maybe as a movie executive.
But Mank is also a dickhead, to be fair. So
Well, it shows that Citizen Kane was not only, it was actually like a jab on MGM.
yeah,
Hmm.
But we'll talk about that more in Spoiler Zone. Let's talk about visuals and cinematography.
I think it was
Good.
shot beautifully. David
Yeah.
Fincher, mate. David Fincher. Mwah.
Mama.
Yeah.
But this is a personal
Mama.
thing, but like making the movie black and white kind of makes it hard to pay attention for me.
Really? I really
Well,
like
like
that.
it's more like not really. Everything kind of feels like a blur in my memory, but I don't know.
Right.
I can kind of relate. Not really though.
Well,
I get what you mean though.
I'll agree
Yeah,
to
but
disagree with you boys.
never mind that.
Sure.
But visual wise and camera work wise, pretty good. It
Yeah.
They also try. It also emulates kind of like filming techniques of the 1940s, because I noticed in the car driving scene
Yeah.
on the windows, it's not a real road. It's a video
Yeah.
or a projection.
Yeah.
Probably expand on that aesthetic and visuals, I guess.
Well, I think we could merge these two, right? But we'll talk about like cinematography first before we move on, right?
Sure. Sure.
Yeah. So shortly for cinematography, it was good. I think
Yeah.
did its job.
Yeah,
Well, I really appreciated like all of the shots and stuff because I really like David Fincher and his style of directing is good.
Yeah.
Like it feels, in terms of like aesthetic, it feels like an old movie, but like in terms of like actual cinematography, I think it feels fairly modern.
Yeah.
well, it is a modern movie.
Yeah, so it should feel modern.
I think without going into too much detail, the use of a lot of like low angle shots to like show power in these people, perhaps maybe overused, but I didn't pick up on it initially. But I'm thinking back, they used it a lot to like to show that these people have power. These are people of power. And it really puts us on the spot on the moment, and lets us understand the situation. I like it. Yeah.
Definitely. Let's
Yeah.
move on to the music. You talked about the music before, Sandu. Would you like to elaborate?
The music had that like they use a lot of like the old like 30s like jazzish stuff, which I listen to. I listen to like the old jazz stuff,
Very
like
jazz
30s and
man.
40s jazz.
Yeah.
But I like the use of it. It was like it's very like when you move into like a different scene, like a flashback into like the 30s, and it comes with this music that you just jam into while you're watching. Very immersive.
Oh, fits with
Feels
the
like you're just driving
times.
down the
Yeah,
street, going by a jazz bar.
also fits the style.
Hot take.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the music in Mank more than the music in the original.
I think
Yeah.
timing is the big thing here because I kind of get what you mean, Jack.
Yeah.
With the music, sometimes I don't remember exactly, but sometimes I remember getting the feeling that like the music should have stopped by now, or stopped too early, or like it should have swapped to a different kind of mood in this
In
this
To
new
Citizen
setting.
Kane. Yeah.
Yeah.
In Citizen Kane, I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in Mac, they do kind of the same thing, but to a good effect.
Yeah.
There wasn't really much that I found to be too irritating with Mank.
Yeah.
And to be fair, I didn't find it irritating with Citizen Kane at first anyway. So I was just talking out my ass here for a second, but yeah, I get what you mean, yeah.
Yeah.
But I liked it. I liked the music in both.
Yeah.
More on the visual effects. Going back to the
And
car and how they tried to emulate the techniques used back in the day, where they would use like a projection next to the car window to emulate a road instead of actually driving on one and filming on one, since that is easier. They did that in this movie, and I guess it fits the setting and the times. But I feel like it wasn't that necessary. I mean, it's a modern movie. I guess they're trying to emulate the way the old movie worked.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just a fun thing. Fun quirk.
And in terms of like editing, we got what are they, text at the start of the film?
Yeah.
Like the same,
Title cards.
we got the same like title sequence as
Yeah. Title cards for each
Citizen
flashback.
Kane.
This time it's
Oh, that too.
stylized
But
as
they also had like the
typewriting.
introduction was text.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah. Also, like they had like, was it? I don't know if it was a filter or if they used like a camera effect or something, but it was like the camera, the film looked like there were like little glitches here and there.
Yes.
Yeah, like little like artifacts in the video,
Yeah.
and you occasionally see like a little spot in the top right.
Oh,
Yeah,
that would
yeah.
be the actual film, analog film effect. They're
Yeah.
trying to emulate that. So yeah, that's pretty cool stuff there. Fun stuff.
Yeah.
Shall we move on to the spoiler zone?
Yes.
What is it? Spoiler zone.
Alright, everyone, welcome to the spoiler zone. Timestamp for
Yeah.
final verdicts right here, and we'll be getting right into it. Anything in particular that y'all want to mention?
I like the drunk acting.
Drunk acting.
Yes.
I'm reading on Wikipedia, and it, I'm not sure how much we can take Wikipedia, but Charles Dance stated that a scene involving a drunken Mankiewicz took over 100 takes.
So he was really drunk.
On another note, Seyfried, who played Marion, stated that one of her scenes took over a week and 200 takes to shoot.
Damn.
That's all it takes.
But yeah, going back to the drunk acting. Drunk acting is one of those things where you really do have to be drunk to know how to act drunk, right?
Yeah. A lot of actors do method acting.
Yeah. Not that I would know how good it was, but you were convinced that yes, I can tell this guy's drunk.
Yeah.
And it's very convincingly drunk.
Yeah.
Something I want to mention.
Yes.
I really like the initial motives for Mank. You know?
Oh yeah?
Like how the corporate bureaucrats are controlling the political landscape of California, mate.
Yeah.
And everyone, including the employees of MGM and others, are forced to basically do what their higher ups tell them to do, despite their beliefs.
Yeah.
And that's a
I
really
mean, everyone generally shares the same beliefs except Mank.
How would that dude that killed himself, man? Like, he didn't believe in what he was doing.
Oh, except that guy. Yeah.
I mean, like,
there are a few.
Basically only the rich people and the executives they're the only ones who are pulling the strings, you know? Like, normal people would vote for that Sinclair guy because, I mean, blue-collar workers, right? They're attracted to a down-to-earth politician who's willing to, what do you call it? Represent them. This goes back to how the political landscape of the time inspired Mank in writing Citizen Kane, you know? Citizen Kane was about this big newspaper man, rich newspaper guy, and he was supposed to stand up for the small guys, but like he forgot what he stands for. Or I don't know if he actually meant it or not, but I mean that's what he stood for initially. Well, yeah, this movie really do give background to Citizen Kane.
And I think if I hadn't seen Mank, I wouldn't have known about Citizen Kane. And I think that's like one of the big things about this movie as well. You know, educating more people on this great film that was Citizen Kane. Or it still is. It still is a great movie.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Also reaching a whole new generation of people who probably wouldn't have even thought to have seen Citizen Kane before now.
If they're into David Fincher movies, I guess.
True, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it gives this old movie a new platform.
Mm-hmm. Okay, it's a Netflix original as well, so you're streaming. What's that? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I'd also say this movie highlights a long-standing thing in Western and particularly American culture, like accusing people to be communists, and
Yeah.
like it
Talking
shows
about
like
Hitler.
kind of shows corporate greed, you know, like
Yeah.
they don't like communists because they take their money. That's about it.
Yeah.
They don't care about nothing. That goes
Yeah.
up till now.
No.
So, fuck them. Anything else?
I wanted to point out one thing that we forgot to talk about what we should have mentioned, because the dots that we saw in like the top right of the film, which looked like little like glitches and artifacts in the film.
Yeah.
I'm reading this thing. Quote, those strange circles in the upper right corner of the screen that appear in old movies to alert the projectionist to a real change. So a little bit of movie history there for you. Those little blips were not glitches or artifacts. They were physically put there onto the film.
Physically?
And just like putting that digitally is just very immersive. People who know what that is, and they're like, oh, they put that there as well.
Yeah.
So it wasn't filmed on actual film, right? It was digital?
I cannot find anything about that, but you'd assume so, right? Because there were some bits that looked like it was filmed on film, and some bits that did not look like it was.
No, so I guess it might be a mix.
Yeah, and we didn't. I didn't. At least I didn't notice enough the differences between them to figure out any like symbolism. But you know, if you know what that means, you can comment you can leave it in the comments. Educate our wider audience than we small brains can.
All right. Thing I want to mention. This also relates to Citizen Kane, but I guess this movie highlights really the power of media and like how it influences people and how people think. Like, because the main plot of this movie is like how, just by releasing a misleading movie short about a political figure may just fucking tank their reputation altogether, man.
Yeah.
Because in this movie, Mr. Mayor is in support of the Republican candidate for California, while the general public is leaning towards the Democrats. But Mank accidentally gave one of MGM's executives a plan, an idea on how to fix this, you know? So they make a misleading movie and release it. And then the Republicans won. This goes back to Citizen Kane, where this power of the media is shown by the newspapers. Like, how much a newspaper article can influence the public opinion, right?
Yeah.
And how Kane uses his newspaper empire to blackmail other candidates while he was making himself a candidate. Because he's playing the game, the other candidate just does the same thing where he'll blackmail him to the other newspapers, right? So it's all a game of media bias.
And this, I think, it's a timeless message, because this happens nowadays, you know, with Mr. Murdoch. Yeah.
Well, giant media corporations controlling the newspapers, TV. News isn't actually news, kids. They're just propaganda from different agendas. You know, look where the money's from,
you know? To the Unholy Trinity.
Exactly.
That's right.
Look for the money trail. We don't get paid, so our opinions are all natural, you know? Except if you want to sponsor us, then we can express your opinions and your views, your agenda. But for now, we're all independent.
Wink, wink.
Winky, winky.
Oh,
Anything
Sure,
else, spoilery? No? Okay. Final verdicts, starting for me, I guess.
With you? Yeah.
yeah,
So
sure.
Mank was a interesting introspective on the makings of Citizen Kane, and I'd say this movie is directed and written quite well, filmed beautifully, emulated the style of the 1940s, and as Jack said before, pacing and flashbacks could be better, but overall it's a pleasurable experience. Actors played really well. Story really gives you background on Citizen Kane and the whole political landscape of the time. I really like the exploration of media bias and the powers of the media over people's opinions. I'll give this movie a solid 8 out of 10 as well.
Yeah. Citizen Kane level, huh? For me, I think it was a good movie. Wasn't quite the David Fincher comeback that I was hoping for, fortunately, and I think this is due to issues with the writing, unfortunately. Lots of pacing issues and just a bit too, just in my taste, a bit too slow for me. I think that really drags it down quite a bit. So in terms of like acting, cinematography, and music and stuff, that was all really well done. And the story itself, like that was very interesting to get an insight upon the making of that really good film, Citizen Kane, and reflecting more of the cinematography and stuff and the visuals. It emulated that 1940s style, and I think it's technically really good. Though due to that, the issues in writing for me, I'm gonna have to say this is a good movie at a 7 out of 10.
7 out of 10?
Yeah.
All right. I'm actually going to say something, but mostly just repeat what you guys said. I like
It's
the
okay.
visuals. I like the music. I don't think I minded the writing as much just because I'm not a movie critic, even though I'm on the Unholy Trinity, but yeah.
Maybe you have a better attention span than me.
I mean, I just don't know how to rate movies.
Sure.
Acting was good, you know. I'm gonna go with Dio here on a 8 out of 10.
And that comes to a combined average score of a 7.7 out of 10 from the Unholy Trinity.
That's good.
Alright. That's it from us today.
Yeah.
Tell us what you think about Mank or Citizen Kane in the comments below. Also, if you have any suggestions for us, please write them down below on what movie we should review next.
Spoiler alert, it may be Tenet.
May review Tenet?
Maybe.
We might have already reviewed Tenet, but you know, it's probably...
Yeah.
Our past is the future anyways, right? Or the future.
Spoilers. Well, let's just... yeah.
That's it for today's episode. Give us a like if you like, give us a like if you dislike, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next episode. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.